Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. My name is Andrew, coming to you from the beautiful Carolinas. Today's topic is going to be, as you become stronger, they become weaker. Think about that for a minute. Everyone, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, and share. So nothing more true was ever spoken. As you become stronger, they become weaker. You see, when you were in the narcissistic relationship, you were strong, but you didn't realize how strong you were. The narcissist had you manipulated. They had you captured and trapped in that narcissistic fog, and you thought that they were the strong one. Well, they're the weak one. They're the coward, the bully, the person that has to manipulate other unsuspecting people, the person that has to pepper them with abuse, which includes financial, mental, emotional, spiritual, and verbal, and other so many different kinds of abuse. Having said these things, as you become stronger, the narcissist sincerely does become weaker. What this means is when you finally see behind the mask and you realize it was nothing but an illusion, it was nothing but smoke and mirrors. The narcissist never loved you. They never cared about you. They looked at you as an opportunity. They looked at you as somebody who they could future fake with. They could promise you your hopes, your dreams, your aspirations, your goals would come to fruition. They would do whatever they could to get close to you. They would assimilate themselves. They would act like they were like-minded. They would show you fake empathy, fake love, fake kindness, fake consideration, fake caring. We all know now that all these things that the narcissist showed you, they were nothing more than the mask, because the narcissist cares about one person and one person only, and it is themselves. So when you were in that relationship, as I mentioned a few moments ago, you were giving to a fault. You probably were a people pleaser, maybe a yes person. You didn't have boundaries, I can assure you of that. You probably are and or were an empath, and you kept on working for the relationship. You were putting out the fires that the narcissist was starting intentionally. And the narcissist was watching you. They were checking the pulse and the temperature of the relationship and of you, and they were seeing how much they could get away with for how long. The whole time they were in that relationship with you, they were trying to extract as much from you as they could, which included your time, money, energy, effort, love, empathy, everything I talk about. And they did their best to manipulate you, to keep you trapped in that zombie-like, trance-like state, the narcissistic fog, where you were existing, you were not living, you were doing everything and more to do whatever you could to keep that relationship held together. You were essentially the glue. You were the person who was putting on the band-aids to all of the 1,000 cuts that the narcissist was administering to you and to the relationship. Again, you didn't know what narcissism was. You weren't taught this in school. You didn't have the wisdom. You didn't have the education. What you did know is the person that you had met when you originally encountered the narcissist, that person disappeared a long time ago. And over time, that person was showing you more and more toxicity, more and more poor behaviors, more and more manipulating techniques, such as triangulation, gaslighting, the silent treatment, stonewalling, rage fits, ghosting, projection, mirroring, blame shifting. They showed you so many different behaviors and tactics of manipulation that they administer to people. You couldn't wrap your head around it. That's why, again, when you found that needle in a haystack, maybe one day you typed something in the search engine or the browser or YouTube, something like, "spouse won't talk to me." Lo and behold, here comes information or videos or content explaining to you some poor behaviors of people who turned out to be perhaps toxic and or narcissistic people. This is when you dropped to your knees, you sat on the couch or you went down on the ground and you couldn't believe that the relationship you were a part of was what it was. It wasn't what you thought it was. And that the person who you are removed from, or you were about to be removed from, or you are developing and creating and about to execute an exit plan to get yourself away from, who turned out to be the narcissist, they just looked at you as somebody they could manipulate, to bleed dry of your resources, to steal your time, to steal your relationships, to steal your energy, your clarity, your mindset, your hobbies, anything that made you you. The narcissist wanted you to not enjoy that. Now, having said these things, when you're in the narcissistic relationship, you become a shell of yourself. You become an extension of the narcissist. What that means, because frequently people ask me what that means is your fingerprint is what makes you you. It's a part of your identity. You didn't essentially have a fingerprint when you're in that relationship. Now, physically, did you have one? Yes. But emotionally, mentally, other ways, Financially? Absolutely not. You were being abused. And the narcissist would pepper you with abuse to get whatever they wanted from you. And if you didn't do what they wanted you to do, basically, if you didn't play the game or do what they asked you or wanted you to do, you would experience some toxic behaviors. Example, you would be given the silent treatment for a few days or weeks on end, or the narcissist would ghost you, telling you, I just need to go away on a girl's weekend away, or I need to go away on a guy's weekend away, I'll be back. And you're like, what are you talking about? We've been married for 2 years, 3 years, 20 years. Like, what are you doing? I don't get this. You're doing it more and more. Well, these are all cracks in the armor. These are all red flags. This is the narcissist resetting, looking to groom other unsuspecting people or new sources of supply, and to punish you for being you, essentially keeping you trapped in the relationship, although they're physically not with you. These behaviors and so many more you experience. The same thing with the silent treatment. Maybe the silent treatment, you didn't know what it was. You just thought that someone wasn't talking to you for a period of time because maybe you didn't put all the gas in the car. Or maybe you couldn't pay all of their Amazon bill this month, whatever, who knows? Well, the silent treatment is a method of abuse. It's meant to have you crawl back to somebody who turns out to be the narcissist and apologize for something you did do, something you didn't do, something you should have known about, something you shouldn't have known about. Essentially, they are playing the waiting game. Who's going to hold their breath the longest? And it's the narcissist virtually every time that wins that game, because you didn't know what you were up against when you were in that relationship. But you see, all these things disappear. They all go away once that relationship has ended. Now, when the relationship ends, it usually ends with a thud, a crash, a bang. Usually these relationships end, the ending comes out of left field. And usually people are discarded, which means they're crumbled up like a sheet of paper and thrown away in the freeway. That's not how every narcissistic relationship ends, but that's how a lot of them end. And throughout the relationship, remember, there were mini and or micro discards littered throughout that relationship you were a part of. Think about how long the length of that relationship was and what little periods of time, maybe a couple hours, maybe a couple days, weeks, months, whatever, but that's when the narcissist would pull back again. See, these are mini discards. And at the end of every narcissistic relationship, because each and every one of these has an expiration date, there is the ending or the discard, or when you remove yourself. And that's when the most challenging times of your life you will experience. It wasn't exclusive to the narcissistic relationship that you went through. Post-relationship, you have a lot of work in front of you. You have a mountain of work. And you may know that now. Maybe this is the first video you're consuming. You're realizing that, well, it's not meant to trigger you or upset you, but this is the relationship you need to heal from. This is why you will get stronger. This is why the narcissist will get weaker. And again, maybe this video, you're finally getting that light bulb moment and realizing, oh my gosh, this person never did care about me. Maybe it was my mom. Maybe it was my dad. Maybe it was my wife or husband. Maybe it's my brother. Maybe it's my colleague. Maybe it's my coworker. Maybe it's my neighbor. Who knows? But whoever you're thinking about, that person drew you to this channel. That person has now opened your eyes, and that person has shown you who they are. And they are the weak one. They are the coward. They're the bully. They're the person with no substance or no core to them. It's not you. But you see, the narcissist is such a master manipulator that they have people believing that the people they target, which at one point was you, that you are the person that needs help. You're the person that needs to see a therapist. You're the person that's not strong. You're the person that has all the problems. That's not the truth. The truth of the matter is the narcissist was dumping all their toxicity into you, because the narcissist needs a sounding board. They need someone to regulate themselves. They need someone to dump all their toxicity into. And that was you for a period of time, which was the length of the relationship. But when you're removed, that's when you really slow your life down. And of course, you found that needle in a haystack, which was what is narcissism. And here you are in the community. And now you're getting your cup full, or you're understanding that you are the priority. You come first, second, and third. And this will take time. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's a journey. It's not one day of your life. But this will change you forever. It will transform you to a great place, which is called the mountaintop of indifference, the pinnacle of indifference. Now, maybe you're there right now. Maybe you're standing right beside me. Maybe you're striving to get there. Maybe, again, this is your first video you're ever watching. Well, in time, in your time, you will get there if you apply the tools that are provided for you on the videos and in the channel. And understand that where you are now perhaps is not where you want to be. If that's the case, it clearly means there's work to be done. If where you are is where you want to be, well, you should really take a deep breath in, be grateful, and be fortunate that you are where you want to be, because I'm sure that you went to hell and back, but you finally arrived at the pinnacle of the mountaintop of indifference. But again, as I mentioned, the narcissist never wanted you to figure out who they were. They never wanted you to heal. They never wanted you to deduce what narcissism was. They never wanted you to break the chains of the narcissistic abusive cycle. And remember, the chains, there are 4 of them, and here they are: the emotional, financial, the physical, and the spiritual. These are the ties of the narcissistic relationship. They all must be shattered. They must be broken into a billion pieces, never ever to be put back together. That is why when you identify that someone is a toxic narcissistic person or a challenging toxic person in general, that's when you need to run for the hills from these people. That's why virtually in every video I create, I suggest to go no contact, block these people, delete them, remove them and all flying monkeys and people associated with them, if not now, when? Because these people don't change, they only deteriorate over time. They don't improve, they only get worse. They don't get stronger, they only get weaker. Because the narcissist needs an energy source. They need someone to catapult them through the next leg of their life. And for a period of time, that was you. Well, you are a beautiful, bright, shining light. You probably know that by now. You are abundant, you're full of positivity, you're full of resilience, commitment, strength, courage, fortitude, determination, and purpose. None of those adjectives encompass what the narcissist is. What the narcissist is shallow, hollow. They're a mimicker. They regurgitate people's words. They steal people's relationships. They steal people's hopes, dreams, aspirations, goals. They steal people's identities. They steal people's worth and value. And this is what the narcissist does. They go through life taking whatever they can, and they take and take and take. And when they're done, what do? That's right, they take as much as they possibly can, or they take more, until you finally get the message and you realize that this person never cared about not only you, they didn't care about anybody other than themselves, which includes their own parents, their own children, their own romantic relationships, friends, besties, colleagues, coworkers, neighbors, people they work with, people that give them business. They don't care about anybody. And they will never, ever be able to elevate where you have elevated or ascended, which is higher than the sun, the moon, and the stars. So as you get stronger, the narcissist gets weaker. This isn't just a tagline that I came up with. It's not just a narcissistic slogan. It's real life. The further you get away from the narcissist, the stronger you get. The stronger you get, the clearer your mind gets. The clearer your mind gets, the more abundance you will see around you. The more abundance you will see around you, the more you will see the world the way it actually is, not the way you wanted to see it. The more you will be able to detect and see toxic behaviors from afar. The more you will be able to remove and not stick around when someone is telling a joke, a tasteless joke at a barbecue or at an event. You see, you will now have boundaries. You can now say no, the strongest word in the English language. And you know now that when you say no to something or someone, you are saying yes to yourself. But when you're in that relationship with a narcissist, you couldn't say no, because if you said no, it would fall upon deaf ears, or you would be abused for saying that word. Why would they abuse you? Because they didn't get what they wanted. That's why these people, i.e. the narcissists, they are petulant children that have not fully developed. They have a chip missing. They will never, ever be accountable. They can't introspect. They can't apologize and mean it. They will never, ever want your improvement, your betterment. They will never want you to find your purpose. They won't want you ever to succeed in life. Now you're getting the message. You're understanding that the narcissist, the whole time, they were envious of you. They were jealous of you. They wanted to extinguish you or exterminate you. They didn't want your beautiful, bright, shining light to be held higher than the sun, the moon, and the stars to shine down on the planet. They didn't want that. This is why the narcissist needs fuel sources, because they're weak and they know it, and they have to steal from other people. That's why the narcissist they take whatever they can from people. They take their ideas, their hopes. They take their style of clothing, their haircuts. They copy the kind of cars that people buy. They copy the lexicon or the words they use. They copy the places they went to vacation. They copy the network of people that they want to hang around with, etc. This is why there's nothing to the narcissist, and they are weak, they are frail, they are riddled with anxiety and fear of being discovered, fear of being manipulated, fear of being exposed. Now again, remember a couple things before I close the video. One, I don't suggest ever to expose the narcissist. Number two, I suggest to go no contact and block them. Number three, I suggest to cut and or remove all four of the ties that I told you what they were earlier in the video. Number four, I strongly suggest for you to insulate and protect yourself and stay in that cocoon of boundaries as long as necessary until you've healed. And you may ask, well, what's the cocoon of boundaries, Andrew? Well, what it is, it's a idea that I came up with a few years ago, which means it's a place where you insulate and protect yourself, and it's a period of time when you don't want to go out, you don't want to communicate with many people because they can't understand what you're talking about. You're healing from the narcissistic relationship. You're understanding what the definitions in the glossary and the terms are in the narcissistic abusive cycle. You're coupling your experiences with these terms and definitions, which equals wisdom. You're putting yourself back together. This is where you're understanding that you can do anything you want to in the future, although right now you may not want to do many things because you need to stay insulated and protected in that cocoon of boundaries. Once you're ready to break out of that cocoon, and I can't tell you when it will happen, maybe it'll happen a few months, a few years, it will happen when it's meant to happen. But nobody, and I mean nobody, can tell you when that will happen, myself included. But whenever you're ready to exit that and remove yourself from the cocoon of boundaries, you will go back out into life. You'll be able to take a class, teach a class, read a book, write a book, travel, fall in love again, rebuild relationships that were damaged by the narcissist, or reclaim new relationships that you haven't even developed yet. You can do whatever you want to. Your hobbies will return, your health will return, your finances will return, your clarity will return, your mindset will return, and now you will have a superpower. And it will be a superpower on steroids once you come through the narcissistic abusive cycle and you put yourself back together and you rise through the ashes like a phoenix, because now you see something that most people can't see. You've beaten something that most people don't even know exists, and you've conquered an abusive cycle that you did not even know that you were up against and you were trapped in for a period of time, which is the narcissistic abusive cycle. This is why you're changed forever. This is why you can't do mundane, boring things. This is why you can't watch TV. You can't watch certain things that you used to just chew up time with. These things all go by the wayside once you're putting yourself back together, and once you realize that this thing called life, this experience called your journey, it's meant to be relished, cherished, honored by you and by those loved and trusted ones around you that have your best interest at heart. It's not meant for you to be subservient to a toxic narcissistic person as you were being a unpaid helper, a walking apology, a sounding board, a chauffeur, a pawn, a puppet, a person who cooked, cleaned, paid for vacations, households, anything you possibly could, because you were being used, abused, and manipulated. The narcissist took their best shot at you, and the narcissist thought that they were on top of you and on top of your life and the trajectory of your life. But what happened is whenever that relationship ended, it probably ended by a discard, but maybe it didn't. But whenever that happened, they never, ever thought you would dust yourself off and pick yourself up by the bootstraps and heal and put yourself back together and have the ability to pay it forward and to get your cup full and to realize how strong you actually are, and yes, how weak they really are. You see, you were tested. You were battle tested day in and day out when you were in that relationship. You faced things that so many people couldn't even fathom or wrap their head around. That's why if you explain things to somebody who hasn't gone through the cycle, they look at you like you're from a different planet, because they can't wrap their head around what you're talking about. But again, that's why I can finish your sentence in a moment. That's why you possibly can finish my sentence in a moment, because you see, we were in the same war. The war was with one toxic, narcissistic energy force or source. It came in a different shape and size and probably spoke a different language, etc. And maybe was from a different part of the world, but it's the same dark energy force that is scattered and littered all throughout the planet. We were in that war, but guess what? We won. We're winning. We've conquered the narcissistic abusive cycle. And that is something the narcissist could never, ever wrap their head around. That's why once you beat the cycle and you put yourself back together, you dust yourself off by the bootstraps and you put yourself back together again, like I shared. That's why you are in rarefied air. That's why you are at the pinnacle of indifference, the mountaintop of indifference, where you no longer care about the narcissist or anybody from that period of time. If you're not there, keep working. If you are there, drop comments below. If you're almost there, continue moving forward each and every day, focusing on yourself. Remember a few things. You need to control what you can control. And that's something that you couldn't do when you were in the narcissistic relationship, and certainly for a period of time post-relationship, because you didn't have the wisdom. You were looking for closure. You were looking for answers to questions that you had, thinking that the narcissist would provide these for you. Now we know the narcissist will never give you closure. Now we know the narcissist wants to punish people for being themselves. Now we know the narcissist is shallow, hollow. They're weak-minded, and they are a toxic person. They were envious and jealous of you, and yes, I've repeated myself a few times in this video on purpose. Play the video, play it a few times, get the message, understand how powerful you are. The stronger you get, the weaker the narcissist gets. That's a fact. The thing is, the narcissist never wanted you to regain your strength. They didn't want you to heal. They didn't want you to arrive at or reach the pinnacle of indifference. They want to keep you stuck on that shelf like a Ken doll or a Barbie doll, so they could come back at a later date, attempt to Hoover you, or show you that they are the most important person, or that they've changed, or that they miss you, or you're the yin to their yang, or they're the victim. No, never, ever, and I mean never, accept a Hoover. A Hoover will only send you backwards. And what a Hoover is, in a nutshell for this video, it's when the narcissist is seen if you are open to communicating with them. It doesn't mean they want to go back with you for another year, decade, or 30 years. It doesn't mean anything other than they're seen if they still matter to you. And when the narcissist no longer matters to you, they really become super weak. They become a dot in the rearview mirror of the car you're driving forward, and as that little dot fades away and disappears lower than a piece of dirt below your shoe, that's what the narcissist will eventually become once you put yourself back together. And as the narcissist fades away in that rearview mirror of the car you're driving forward, you get stronger and stronger, because you are driving towards, or you have arrived at, that pinnacle of indifference. And this is where you belong. This is where there are so many of us waiting for you, reaching our arms and our hands down to pick you up and to lift you up to where we have ascended, where we are now living our best lives. And this place is rarefied air. It's for people who have healed and conquered the narcissistic abusive cycle. It's for people who have transformed their life, who have beaten something that they didn't even know they were against. And it's for somebody who now believes and knows that they are the most powerful person on the planet. When I say that, I mean anyone, and I mean anyone who has beaten the narcissistic abusive cycle and put themselves back together. You are an extremely strong person. If no one told you that, I'm telling you that right now. You really need to be appreciative and grateful, and you really need to give yourself a huge, huge pat on the back for being as resilient, courageous, determined, focused, and strong as you are. The narcissist took their best shot at you. They failed, and they failed miserably. You put yourself back together. They now have slithered away on into the darkness, lower than a piece of grass or piece of pine below your shoe. Let them stay there. That's where they deserve to be. That's where they were before they met you. That's where they will always exist. Now that you're out of it, you've ascended higher than the sun, the moon, and the stars. Understand what it took you to get to where you are. You never, ever, and I mean never, can go back to where you were. Everyone, that's the video. I hope you liked it. I loved doing it from the beautiful, sunny Carolinas. This is Andrew. Namaste. Have a great afternoon, evening, or morning, no matter where you are on the planet. You are not alone. Remember that. You are not alone. I love you all. God bless you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Remember something. I mention things in videos over and over again, repeating these taglines and slogans that I've come up over the years on purpose. It's to get some things to click with you eventually. You could be driving home in your car from work right now. You could be getting ready to go to bed. You could be in the morning having a cup of coffee. You could be on a plane, a train, an automobile. You could be at the beach. You could be sitting across the dinner table from somebody who turned out to be toxic. You could be anywhere. But the point is, you're consuming the video. And that is not a coincidence. Just as I'm consuming this video in the Carolina woods, you're consuming it. As I create this video is what I'm saying. As I'm creating this, you're consuming it. And as I create it, you're getting more and more wisdom, and I'm paying it forward. My hope is that you realize how strong you are and exactly how weak the narcissist is. So stop giving them chances. Go no contact. Begin to heal if you haven't already, and realize that you are the priority. You come first, second, and third. I love you all. God bless you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.